Good afternoon. This is Debbie Davis. It is March 21st, 2025. Okay, so we just obviously they keep finding more fraud. So just today, it says Elon Musk stopped a $52 million payment. Okay, so I don't know if you remember, but that was one of the first things that Trump did when he got into office. He had stopped some kind of I think it was like a $9 million payment that Obama was trying to send to Pakistan. See if I can. Um, that was one of the first things that he did, like the very first day he got in office. So, yeah, it all has to do with fraud. So I just want to give you an update of what happened with Progressive. Um, so I'm trying to find the story of where he stopped this check that was being sent to Pakistan. Like the very first day Trump got in, he had to put a stop payment on a check, like a $9 million check to Pakistan or something, or some terrorist group or something. I don't know. Remember the story. That's why I was trying to find it. But anyway, I can tell you that all of the fraud. I have known this for years. That all of the fraud, fraud involves the CIA, and so that's why I've had this agency. I still have these vehicles watching me, literally stalking me. CIA, and it had to do with when I first uncovered this fraud at a military base. And what is the point in having something called a Military Whistleblower Protection Act, where I was supposed to be protected for reporting this, when why do you put it in the Army regulations when you're not protecting the veterans that are trying to report the fraud? I haven't been protected properly. Why did if you can't protect the veterans, nobody's gonna continue joining our military. And if you can't, here we get. I literally have been harassed nonstop in my personal life outside of the military for 12 years just for reporting this fraud at a military base. If you can't protect the veterans from us being in danger by this fraudulent agency, then nobody's going to continue joining the military here. You have to protect the veterans and the military, okay? Because there are regulations that were supposed to protect me after I reported this, and not only did they not protect me, I got illegally pushed out of the military. I didn't have any medical board. I was just forced out. Somebody, I'm sure, involving John McCain, his office, I'm sure just did the paperwork. And I was illegally forced out after reporting this in Arizona. I didn't get any medical board. I had served, and that's the way that I was treated as a veteran. So, and if you remember, they've targeted the veterans for years now. And if you remember these scams when they first started coming out, they were over 10 years ago. They started targeting the military, and if you remember, they were getting we had it at the base where I was working at the time. There was several of us that had gotten emails saying, so and so left you some money. And they turned out to be some kind of scams from some other country, right? And they were targeting the military, okay? And they were saying that somebody in your some relative left you a bunch of money, and that you just have to contact us and give us your bank information, and then we'll put it in your bank account. Well, it turned out that they wanted their bank account information, and then they took money, and some soldiers got scammed by that. I never fell for it, but I know some soldiers that did. This is of course before we knew what was going on. This is all the CIA. This is a CIA operation, all of them. All these scams involved the CIA. And then there was another friend of mine that got scammed in Arizona. He was trying to get a small business loan for a small business, and this company said they were with the Bank of Dubai. Okay, and he was just trying to, and he said he was approved, but then they kept saying, no, but you got to send this fee for this application, and then it was like this fee for this and this fee for that, and before he knows it, he spent like thousands of dollars in fees, or like at least a couple thousand in fees before he finally, and I finally figured out the number that was calling, and did a Google search on the number that was calling, and found out that it was some kind of a scam, a Nigerian scam. Okay, so it was a Nigerian scam. He never got his money, and it was a total scam, and he fell for it, and he got thousands. He was out. And then there's this other scam that some elderly people have fallen for here, saying that so and so, one of their relatives, needs money. They need you to go here and wire money over here, or send money through Walmart over here right away. They're in danger. And they, some people have gotten scammed with that. These are all like CIA scams. These are all, this company is all about the fraud. They have been frauding us for decades. Okay. And, but and then I've gotten, like scammed with, where all of a sudden I got something in the mail, some skincare thing that I didn't order, but, that I couldn't get off my bank account, proving that I didn't order it. It's like, okay, so then I just kept it, and it wasn't, but I didn't order it, so I want to send it back. It's like, I've had stuff like that. Those are just for years. I've had this happen. This is not okay, and they're definitely targeting the military and the veterans, so we all have to be very aware of as veterans, that we are being targeted, and it's not okay, because they're trying to weaken our military. Okay. But so, and they like I said, they go with these third party, they use these third party companies to commit the scams. So they also did this with my merchant accounts, because I have my own business, and I sell these things online, right? And I have several different merchant companies I've worked with, and they all of a sudden, several times I would get something called a third party fee. Okay, and they would be, and so I'd get like $100 extra or something charged on my merchant account monthly statement, and they'll be like, oh, and I'm gonna call in, and I'll say, what is this about? Oh, this is some yearly fee or some third party advertising fee. And I said, I never signed up for any. I do my own advertising, and I never signed up for any kind of third party advertising with with this merchant account. And it was just like, I was constantly fighting with these different merchant accounts, and they were constantly trying to fraud me, because they have access to your bank account, because you get, the money comes through when they process the credit card, the shopping cart. So they have access to your bank account, but every once in a while, I would get money just wrongfully taken out, and then I'd have to it'd be like a complete battle to get it back. I'd be like, I never signed anything for any third party marketing to be taken out, and I don't want any third party marketing. That needs to be refunded. Okay, and it would just like, it was a constant battle to try to get anything refunded. This is all the CIA. So if you've been a victim of these things, which I'm sure a lot, like millions have, this is all the CIA. Okay, so I would not do trust any insurance company that works with this Agero. I believe that so they said when I was there that they're using this Agero as the roadside company, but I'm sorry, but I paid my money to Progressive. I don't know who Agero is, but apparently they're part of the roadside part of insurance companies now, and believe me, they've got hundreds and hundreds of complaints online. You can look at all the complaints about Agero. And so all I did was, the last video you heard that I did about Progressive, you can see on the video that I was being hung up on when I was trying to get them to transfer me to the roadside area of Progressive. Okay, and so I was being hung up on, so I went over here to the Progressive Claims Office, which and the lady started the claim, gave me a claim number, and they and I said, look, I keep getting hung up on. So I went over there again, and I said, look, I'm being hung up on. Can somebody just look up the status of this claim? I have a claim number, but I'm not able to get through and find out what the status is of this. And and then she was like making excuses for not wanting to call for me and just find out they were trying to give me this other number to call. Some other 1-800 number. Well, why didn't you give me this number before? What is this new number? And then I said, and on top of it, where is my contract that I signed that you could transfer my Progressive roadside to a Gero? Because I don't even know who a Gero is, and I paid Progressive. So where's the contract that says that you can use some kind of third party company instead of Progressive? This is, and so if nobody questions these people, they get away with it. And these are not good companies, these third party companies. So I get this phone call, and I'm just going to play this, but then that's what I was going to say today.
Deborah, this is Catherine Clayton with Progressive Insurance. As a follow-up to the call that you received yesterday, where Kat from Progressive advised that you would be receiving a payment for the roadside event, I also wanted to call to respectfully inform you that you'll be receiving a letter from FedEx by Monday advising that you are no longer permitted to visit a Progressive property. And if you do visit one of our buildings, you'll be considered a trespasser, and personnel will immediately contact the police.
This is a threat.
And I hope that with receiving the payment, an agreement to do the payment, that will resolve your concerns. But I just wanted to let you know, to avoid any conflict today, that letter's forthcoming, and again, that you're no longer permitted on a program.
So basically, I'm being threatened and told not to go on that property anymore just because I was requesting a reimbursement that was rightfully owed to me. I was left in the middle of nowhere on my way home from California in New Mexico, stuck in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. Could not get through to Progressive. They left me hanging. We tried a couple times from somebody else's phone. Never came out. Then we finally, had to call just a local wrecker service, like I said. But and then thankfully I had cash on me. That's all they said. They said that's all they took was cash. So it sounds like the whole thing was like, they just want to scam us out of money. So I'm not. So this to me is a threat. So I don't know if you. So they are somehow trying to turn it around on me, like I'm doing something wrong, just requesting this money back that I'm rightfully owed, reimbursed, because I had paid for roadside assistance and didn't get it. You didn't do your job, so I had to pay out of pocket because you didn't come with the roadside didn't come like they were supposed to. That's fraud. Okay, and now you act like I'm doing something wrong, and you're threatening me not to even go back to a Progressive where I had a paid insurance for like a year now. And I'm not even allowed to go back and talk to the Progressive people there, even though I paid in for like a year or two now with Progressive. Oh no, I'm somehow the criminal now. See how they turn this around? And this is what, if you didn't see my video that I did about Fleet Farm, this is what Fleet Farm did to me. Okay, this is this is the local yokos that think the Masons, that think that they run the show. And I just I know the law, and I know that I'm not doing anything illegal here. Okay, so this is I'm going to replay this video here if you haven't seen it. It's called Cops at Fleet Farm, while I was picking up my check. So this was 3 years ago. I was helping my mother with my dad in Brooklyn Park, and just right down the road was is the Fleet Farm there, and they said, and I was gonna just work there over for a few months in the warehouse, because my MOS is like 92 alpha and admin and different things, like supply and warehouse and whatever. And they said they were hiring, and so I just went in there, and they said they would hire me. They sent me to, and I wasn't gonna, I was just thinking for a few months do some work there, because they said they had all these signs, hiring, whatever. And I go in there, and they said it looks like you got plenty of experience for this, you're hired. And then they sent me to this training, and but then they would never give me a schedule after I went for the training. I went through the whole training, like 4 hours, but then they would never give me my schedule. And I was like, well, when am I going to be able to start work? And then they kept asking me over and over again, even though I asked them outright. I said, are you requiring the COVID, the shot, the jab? And they said, no, not at this time. But then they kept asking me in the HR, but have you gotten yours? And I said, why do you keep asking me if you don't require it? I'll wear my mask and whatever requirement, but you don't, that's a HIPAA violation for you to keep asking me if I've gotten it or not, because you told me when you hired me that it's not required. And so I could never get a work schedule. So basically they hired me, but then never gave me a work schedule. And then they wouldn't pay me for the training, the 4-hour training. So finally, I'm over the phone. I'm told, okay, we don't. It basically kind of the same thing that happened. I went into HR, and I said, look, you can't hire somebody and then send them to training and not. And I said, and then this woman that was running the HR kept asking for me to do all these different forms before she could do cut a check. And I said, ma'am, I already signed all these different things at this training. I said, why do you need me to sign more? And I said, this went on for weeks and weeks. Okay. Then they said, okay, that's fine. Just come in. I was being like such a pain, I guess. And then they had the cops waiting for me at the Fleet Farm when I went in to pick up the check.
So why do we need cops here? Okay. Why do we need the cops here?
Sign here, please.
And they said,
why do we need the cops here?
So the Fleet Farm in Brooklyn Park had the cops waiting for me, even though the manager said, that's fine, just come in and get your check, and then, we'll part our ways or whatever. I didn't want to work there at that point anymore. And they had the cops waiting for me, and they had this trespassing for me that I'm no longer allowed, just because I was requesting a check, which was rightfully mine because I was hired. I did the forms. I was sent to a training. I did the forms, and so then they had the cops waiting for me. This is Fleet Farm. So I mean, I just I personally, like, I'm doing something wrong requesting a check, and so it's the same game now. Progressive is playing. They're trying to. It's the beast system. It's the beast system. They're trying to turn everything around on us. Everything good is evil. So there's a lot of books that have been written about it over the years, and there happened to be a bunch of them that I found recently. And so I mean, we're basically in the New World Order beast system. So if we allow these people to continue their behavior, it'll get worse if we don't stop them now. Okay, so I mean, there's been books for years written about this. Okay, The Coming World Dictator, John Wesley White, forward by Billy Graham. I mean, there's been books for years, but then they've tried to silence these books and everything. It's like, okay, the coming cashless society. These are Christian books that have been written trying to warn people for years. I find all these books, this one, Four Shocks of the Antichrist. I mean, it's like we're in these days right now. We're in these days. you know, the mark of the beast, you know, or they want this cashless society, you know. It's like, you know, we should have been paying attention, you know. You know, Earth's Final Days, Essays of the Apocalypse. You know, there's been books for years that have been trying to warn people. But everybody got distracted with the internet and video games and, you know, okay, you know, Prince of Dark, Antichrist and the New World Order. I mean, it says New World Order right on our dollar bill. Nuevus Ordo or whatever, right on our dollar bills. You know, they've been planning this for hundreds of years. You know, I mean, they keep us distracted. It's a distraction technique that has kept purposely with the, you know, with the sports, the video games, the all the different things that you can get for free on the internet, the porn, whatever it is. You know what I mean? And, you know, whatever, you know. And here's another one. You know, but I mean, it's like they're purposely kept everybody distracted so we wouldn't be paying attention. But there has been Christian authors that have been trying to warn us for years. Black Helicopters, The End Game Strategy. You know, I mean, there's so many books. These are ones that some Christian people had right here. And that, you know, so, I mean, it's like decades ago, there were good Christian people that were trying to warn people. And, you know, and apparently they got silenced or whatever happened there. But you know, we have to realize that a lot of these things, and of course the mainstream media, I don't even watch it anymore. Like, I mean, it's just a distraction. And so we have to be wise to these games. Okay, so I just had something pop up, some dumb thing pop up. So anyway, I'm going to end this video now.